You know, right now, in this very moment, millions of people are rushing. They're running towards something they think they need to catch. They're sprinting through their days, their weeks, their entire lives, as if there's some invisible finish line waiting for them. And the tragedy is this: they have no idea where that finish line is or what they'll get when they cross it. They just know they need to run faster, run harder, keep going. Don't stop. Don't slow down. Because if you slow down, someone might pass you. If you stop, you might fall behind. And falling behind, well, that's the worst thing that could possibly happen, right? Wrong. Life is not a race. It never was. It never will be. But somewhere along the way, we got confused. We started believing that our worth is measured by how fast we move, how much we accumulate, how many boxes we can check off some imaginary list that society handed us. We started running, and we forgot to ask ourselves a simple question: where am I running to? And more importantly, why am I running at all? When you were born, you weren't in a hurry. You didn't come into this world with a stopwatch around your neck and a list of achievements you needed to accomplish by age 5, 10, or 25. You came here whole, complete, and perfect. You came here with everything you needed already inside you. You were born with gifts, with talents, with a unique way of seeing the world that no one else has. You were born to express yourself, to create, to love, to experience the fullness of this human experience. But then something happened. The world started telling you stories. Stories about who you should be, what you should want, how fast you should get there. And slowly, gradually, you started to believe these stories. You started to think that your value is determined by external things, by your job title, by your bank account, by the car you drive or the house you live in, by how you compare to the person next to you, by whether you're ahead or behind in some race that nobody really understands. And once you started believing these stories, you started running. You had to keep up. You had to prove yourself. You had to show the world, and maybe more importantly, show yourself, that you were good enough, worthy enough, successful enough. But here's what nobody tells you: the race is an illusion. It doesn't exist. It's a construct, a story, a collective agreement we've all bought into without questioning it. And the moment you realize this, everything changes. The moment you understand that there is no race, you can stop running, you can catch your breath, you can look around and actually see where you are, who you're with, what's available to you right now in this present moment. Because the truth is, you're not behind. You never were. You're not ahead either. You're exactly where you need to be, right here, right now, in this moment. This is your life. Not the life you'll have when you finally achieve that goal. Not the life you'll live when you finally get that promotion or lose that weight or find that relationship. This moment right now is your life. And if you're so busy running towards some future destination, you're missing it. You're missing the only thing that's real, the only thing that actually exists. Now, think about it for a moment. When you're running, what are you focused on? The future. Some imaginary point in time when things will be better, when you'll finally be happy, when you'll finally be able to relax and enjoy yourself. You're always looking ahead, always focused on what's next, what's coming, what you still need to do. And in the process, you're completely absent from your own life. You're not tasting your food. You're not hearing the laughter of your children. You're not feeling the sun on your face or the ground beneath your feet. You're not present with the people you love. You're somewhere else, always somewhere else, in some future that never quite arrives. Because here's the trick, here's the cosmic joke. When you finally get to that future destination, when you finally achieve that goal you've been running toward, you don't stop. You don't suddenly become present and grateful and satisfied. No, you just set a new goal. You move the finish line a little further down the road. You find something else to chase, something else to prove, something else that you convince yourself you need in order to be happy. And the running continues. The race goes on. And your life, your precious, beautiful, unrepeatable life, continues to pass you by. I've seen this pattern in countless people. They work themselves to exhaustion, trying to climb the corporate ladder, thinking that the next promotion will bring them fulfillment. They get the promotion, and there's a brief moment of satisfaction, maybe a day or a week, and then what? They're looking at the next rung on the ladder. They're comparing themselves to someone who's higher up. They're back in the race, running again. Or they think that finding the right relationship will complete them, will make them whole. They find someone, and it's wonderful for a while, but then they start focusing on what's wrong with the relationship, what's missing, how it could be better. They're running even within their relationships, trying to reach some ideal that exists only in their minds. The same thing happens with money, with possessions, with status, with everything external. You think you need a certain amount of money to feel secure. You reach that amount, and the number just goes up. You think you need a bigger house, a nicer car, a better vacation. You get those things, and they don't deliver the lasting happiness you expected. Because happiness, real happiness, doesn't come from external circumstances. It never has, and it never will. Happiness is an inside job. It's a choice you make, a state of being you cultivate, regardless of what's happening around you. When you're running through life, you're operating from a mindset of lack, of scarcity. You're telling yourself, either consciously or unconsciously, that something is missing, that you're not enough as you are, that you need to acquire something, achieve something, become something different in order to be worthy, in order to be happy, in order to be at peace. And this mindset creates suffering. It creates anxiety, stress, dissatisfaction, and a constant feeling of restlessness. Because no matter what you get, no matter what you achieve, it's never enough. There's always more to do, more to get, more to become. But what if you stopped? What if, right now, you simply stopped running? What if you took a breath, looked around, and asked yourself, what if I'm already enough? What if there's nothing wrong with me, nothing missing, nothing I need to fix or change or acquire? What if I'm already whole, already complete, already worthy of love and happiness and peace? What would happen if you believed that? Everything would change. Because when you stop running, when you step out of the race, you create space. Space to breathe, space to think, space to feel, space to be. You create space to hear your own inner voice, the voice that's been trying to guide you all along, but that you couldn't hear over the noise of the race. You create space to connect with what truly matters to you, with your values, your passions, your purpose. You create space to be present with the people you love, to actually see them, hear them, appreciate them. You create space for joy, for gratitude, for wonder, for all the beautiful things that can only be experienced when you're present, when you're here, when you're not running. And here's something else that happens when you stop running. You realize that you have enough. You have enough time. You have enough money. You have enough love. You have enough of everything you truly need. The feeling of lack, of scarcity, of never having enough, that's just a story. It's a belief you've been carrying, not a truth. When you slow down and actually look at your life, really look at it, you see abundance everywhere. You see all the things you've been taking for granted while you were busy chasing something else. You see the miracle of your own existence, the gift of each breath, each moment, each experience. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't have goals or dreams or things you want to create or achieve. That's not what this is about. Goals are wonderful. They give us direction, they inspire us, they call us forward. But there's a big difference between moving towards something because it excites you, because it's an expression of who you are, and running towards something because you think you need it in order to be worthy or happy or enough. The first is joyful creation. The second is suffering. When you move through life from a place of wholeness, from a place of already being enough, your goals become expressions of your joy, not requirements for your happiness. You pursue things because you want to, because they align with your values and your vision, not because you feel like you have to in order to prove something. And interestingly, when you approach life this way, things often unfold more easily, because you're not pushing and forcing and struggling. You're allowing, you're flowing. You're trusting that you're being guided, that you're exactly where you need to be, learning what you need to learn, growing in the ways you need to grow. This is what it means to live from the inside out rather than the outside in. When you live from the outside in, you let external circumstances dictate your internal state. If things are going well according to society's standards, you feel good. If things aren't going well, you feel bad. Your happiness is like a boat on the ocean, tossed around by waves you have no control over. But when you live from the inside out, you recognize that your internal state is your choice. You choose how you want to feel, how you want to show up, how you want to experience this moment, regardless of what's happening around you. You become like a lighthouse, stable and grounded, shining your light no matter what storms may be raging. And this requires a fundamental shift in how you think about success. The world tells you that success is about what you have, what you've accomplished, what you can show for yourself. But real success, true success, is about who you are, how you feel, how you treat others, how present you are in your own life. Real success is waking up in the morning feeling grateful for another day. Real success is being able to look at yourself in the mirror and genuinely like the person you see. Real success is having loving relationships with the people who matter to you. Real success is doing work that feels meaningful, that aligns with your values, that allows you to express your unique gifts. Real success is being at peace, being content, being here now. You see, when you're racing through life, you're always focused on the destination. You're always thinking about where you're going, what you're trying to reach. And in doing so, you completely miss the journey. You miss the process, the experiences, the growth, the lessons, the beauty that exists in every single step along the way. But life isn't about the destination. How could it be? The ultimate destination for all of us is the same. We're all going to die. That's the one thing we can be absolutely certain about. So if life is about reaching a destination, then life is about dying, which doesn't make much sense, does it? No, life is about the journey. Life is about what happens between your birth and your death. It's about the experiences you have, the people you love, the things you create, the ways you grow, the moments you're present for. It's about the journey, not the destination. And when you're running, you're not on a journey. You're just trying to get somewhere else as fast as possible, which means you're not really living at all. There's an old story about a group of explorers who hired some local guides to help them trek through a jungle. The explorers were in a hurry, pushing hard, trying to cover as much ground as possible each day. They kept urging the guides to move faster, to keep going. But after 3 days of this rapid pace, the guides suddenly stopped and sat down. The explorers were frustrated and asked why they were stopping. One of the guides replied, "We've been moving too fast. We need to stop now and wait for our souls to catch up with our bodies." That's what happens when we're running through life. Our souls can't keep up. We're moving so fast, we're so disconnected from ourselves, from our essence, from what truly matters. We become like machines, just going through the motions, checking boxes, completing tasks, but not really living, not really feeling, not really being. And then we wonder why we feel empty, why we feel unfulfilled, why nothing seems to satisfy us. It's because we've left the most important part of ourselves behind. Your soul isn't interested in the race. Your soul doesn't care about your job title or your bank account or how you compare to your neighbors. Your soul cares about love, about truth, about beauty, about connection, about expression, about growth. Your soul wants you to be present, to be authentic, to be real. Your soul wants you to slow down, to breathe, to feel, to be here now. And when you're running, you can't hear your soul. You can't feel its guidance. You can't experience the peace and joy that come from being aligned with your deepest truth. So how do you stop running? How do you step out of the race? It starts with awareness. It starts with noticing that you're running, recognizing the patterns, seeing the ways you've bought into the story that you're not enough as you are. It starts with questioning the beliefs you've been carrying, the assumptions you've been making about what you need in order to be happy. It starts with getting honest with yourself about what you truly value, what truly matters to you, not what you've been told should matter. And then it requires a choice, a decision. You have to decide that you're going to stop. You have to decide that you're going to step off the treadmill, even if it scares you, even if everyone around you is still running, even if you're not sure what will happen if you stop. You have to decide that you're willing to trust yourself, to trust life, to trust that you'll be okay, that you'll be more than okay if you stop trying so hard and just let yourself be. This doesn't mean you become lazy or unmotivated or that you stop caring about things. Not at all. In fact, when you stop running, you often become more effective, more creative, more productive because you're no longer operating from fear and anxiety. You're operating from clarity and purpose and alignment. You're doing things because they matter to you, not because you think you should or because you're trying to prove something. And when you're doing things from that place, they become easier, more enjoyable, more fulfilling. One of the most powerful things you can do is to spend time in silence, in stillness. Just sit quietly, without distractions, without your phone, without anything to do. Just sit and breathe and be. At first, this might feel uncomfortable. Your mind might race. You might feel anxious or restless. That's normal. That's just all the energy you've been using to run, looking for somewhere to go. But if you stay with it, if you keep sitting, keep breathing, keep being present, something begins to shift. You begin to settle. You begin to come home to yourself. You begin to reconnect with that quiet voice inside, the one that knows the truth, the one that's been there all along. And as you practice this, as you spend more time in stillness, you begin to see your life differently. You begin to notice things you've been missing. You begin to appreciate things you've been taking for granted. You begin to feel gratitude for the simple fact of being alive, of having this opportunity to be here, to experience this incredible adventure called life. You begin to realize that you don't need to prove anything, that you don't need to earn your worthiness, that you already have everything you need right here, right now. Another thing that helps is to get clear on your values, on what truly matters to you. Not what society says should matter, not what your parents or your friends or your colleagues think should matter, but what actually matters to you in your heart. Is it connection? Is it creativity? Is it growth? Is it contribution? Is it peace? Is it love? Get clear on these things, and then look at how you're spending your time and energy. Are you living in alignment with your values, or are you running after things that don't really matter to you because you think you're supposed to? When you align your life with your values, everything becomes simpler. Decisions become easier. You know what to say yes to and what to say no to. You stop doing things out of obligation or fear or the need to impress others. You start doing things because they feel right, because they align with who you are and what you care about. And when you live this way, you stop feeling like you're in a race, because you're not trying to get anywhere other than where you already are. You're not trying to be anyone other than who you already are. Let me tell you something important. Comparison is the thief of joy. When you're running through life, you're constantly comparing yourself to others. You're looking at what they have, what they've achieved, where they are, and measuring yourself against them. And this is torture, because there will always be someone who has more, who's achieved more, who seems to be doing better. There will always be someone ahead of you in the imaginary race. And as long as you're comparing, you'll never be satisfied. You'll never be enough. But when you stop running, when you come back to yourself, comparison loses its power. You realize that everyone is on their own path, their own journey. What someone else has or hasn't achieved has nothing to do with you. Their success doesn't diminish yours. Their happiness doesn't diminish yours. There's enough for everyone. There's no competition except the one you create in your own mind. And when you release that competition, when you genuinely celebrate others' success instead of feeling threatened by it, you free yourself. You open up space for your own joy, your own success, your own unique expression. Think about children for a moment. Watch young children play, and you'll see what it looks like to live without running. Children are completely present. They're absorbed in whatever they're doing, whether it's building a sandcastle or chasing a butterfly or making up a story. They're not worried about the future. They're not concerned with how they compare to other children. They're just being, just playing, just experiencing life as it unfolds. And they're joyful, they're spontaneous, they're free. That joy, that spontaneity, that freedom, it's still inside you. It never left. It just got covered up by all the stories you've been telling yourself, all the beliefs you've accumulated, all the racing and striving and trying to be something other than what you are. But it's still there, waiting for you to come back, waiting for you to remember what you knew before you learned to run. And here's what happens when you stop running, when you come back to yourself. When you choose to live from presence instead of fear, you become magnetic. You become attractive, not in a superficial way, but in a real way. People are drawn to you because you're real, because you're present, because you're not trying to be something you're not. You inspire others, not by what you've achieved or what you have, but by how you are, by the peace and joy and authenticity you radiate. You give others permission to stop running too, just by your example. And you start to see life as the gift it truly is. Every moment becomes precious. Every experience, even the challenging ones, becomes an opportunity for growth, for learning, for deepening. You stop resisting what is and start accepting it, working with it, learning from it. You stop waiting for life to begin and realize it's been happening all along. You've just been too busy running to notice. The race, my friend, is an illusion. It's a story we've been telling ourselves, a game we've been playing without realizing we have a choice. But we do have a choice. We always have a choice. And the choice is simple, though not always easy. We can keep running, keep chasing, keep trying to reach some imaginary finish line that will always move further away. Or we can stop, we can breathe, we can be here now, we can live. Because life is not a race. Life is a gift. Life is an opportunity. Life is a miracle unfolding in every moment. And the only way to experience it, the only way to truly live it, is to stop running and start being present. To stop trying to get somewhere else and start appreciating where you are. To stop trying to be someone else and start being fully, authentically, courageously yourself. You are enough. Right now, as you are enough. You don't need to prove anything to anyone, including yourself. You don't need to earn your worthiness. You don't need to achieve some arbitrary standard of success in order to deserve happiness or peace or love. You already deserve all of those things simply because you exist. You are a unique expression of life itself, and that makes you infinitely valuable, infinitely worthy, infinitely enough. So what would your life look like if you really believed that? What would you do differently? How would you spend your time? How would you treat yourself? How would you treat others? What would you let go of? What would you embrace? What would you say yes to? What would you say no to? These are important questions, and only you can answer them. But I encourage you to sit with them, to really consider them, to let them sink in and show you where you've been running and why, because awareness is the first step. Once you see the race for the illusion it is, you can choose to step out of it. You can choose to live differently. You can choose to be present, to be grateful, to be real, to be here now. And when you make that choice, when you really commit to it, something beautiful happens. Life stops being a burden and becomes an adventure. Challenges stop being problems and become opportunities. Other people stop being competition and become companions on the journey. You stop feeling like you're not doing enough or being enough, and you start feeling whole, complete, at peace. You stop waiting for happiness in the future and start experiencing joy right now. This moment, right now, is the only moment you have. It's the only moment that's real. The past is gone. It only exists in your memory. The future hasn't arrived yet. It only exists in your imagination. The only thing that's real, the only thing you can actually experience is now. And if you're always running towards some future moment, you're missing the only reality there is. You're missing your life. So stop. Just stop. Take a breath. Feel the air entering your lungs. Feel your body, your heart beating, your aliveness. Look around. Really see where you are. Who's with you? What's available to you right now? What can you appreciate? What can you be grateful for? This is your life, right here, right now. Not in the future, not when you finally achieve that goal or reach that destination. Right now. This is it. And when you really get this, when you really understand that this moment is all there is, you stop rushing, you stop running, you start savoring, you start appreciating, you start living. Because you realize that life isn't about getting somewhere, it's about being somewhere. And that somewhere is here. That sometime is now. And that someone is you, exactly as you are, enough just as you are, worthy just as you are, perfect in your imperfection, whole in your incompleteness, beautiful in your humanity. The race will always be there, calling to you, tempting you to jump back in. Society will keep pushing you to compare, to compete, to strive, to achieve. But now you know the truth. Now you know that you have a choice. You can run or you can live. You can chase or you can receive. You can struggle or you can flow. You can resist what is or you can embrace it. You can wait for happiness in the future or you can choose it right now. What will you choose? Not tomorrow, not when things are different. Right now, in this moment, what will you choose? Will you keep running or will you stop and breathe and be here? Will you keep trying to prove your worth or will you accept that you're already worthy? Will you keep chasing an illusion or will you receive the reality that's already here? The answer is yours. The choice is always yours. And whatever you choose, know that it's okay. There's no right or wrong. There's just awareness and choice and the consequences that flow from them. But also know this. You are loved. You are enough. You are worthy. And your life right now as it is a gift. Don't miss it by running through it. Don't miss it by always being somewhere else. Be here. Be now. Be you. Because life is not a race. It never was. And the moment you stop running, the moment you step out of the race and into the present, is the moment you truly begin to live. That's when the magic happens. That's when the joy arrives. That's when peace becomes possible. Not in some distant future, but right here, right now, in this beautiful, precious, unrepeatable moment that is your life. You know what's interesting? When you stop running, you actually start moving in a more meaningful direction. It seems contradictory, doesn't it? But it's true. When you're racing, you're often moving in circles, repeating the same patterns, chasing the same empty promises. But when you stop and get still, when you listen to that inner guidance, you start moving with purpose. You start moving with intention. Every step becomes deliberate, meaningful, aligned with who you truly are. And here's something else nobody talks about. The people who seem most successful, most fulfilled, most at peace, they're not the ones running the fastest. They're the ones who learn to walk their own path at their own pace. They're the ones who figured out that speed doesn't equal progress. They're the ones who understood that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is pause, reflect, and make sure you're heading in a direction that actually matters to you. Your energy is finite. You only have so much of it each day, each year, each lifetime. And when you're running, you're burning through that energy without any real return. You're exhausting yourself in pursuit of things that don't truly nourish you. But when you stop running and start being intentional about where you put your energy, everything changes. You invest your energy in things that matter, in relationships that feed your soul, in work that feels meaningful, in activities that bring you genuine joy, and suddenly, you're not tired all the time. You're not depleted. You're energized because you're finally using your life force in ways that align with your truth. There's tremendous courage required to stop running, because when you stop, you have to face yourself. You have to look at your life honestly and ask the hard questions. Why have I been running? What am I afraid of? What am I avoiding? What do I really want? Who am I without all the doing, all the achieving, all the striving? These questions can be uncomfortable, they can be scary, but they're also liberating, because on the other side of them is freedom. On the other side of them is authenticity. On the other side of them is the real you, the one who's been waiting patiently for you to come home. So take that first step. Maybe it's saying no to something you don't want to do. Maybe it's taking a day off without guilt. Maybe it's sitting in silence for 10 minutes. Maybe it's having an honest conversation with yourself about what you truly value. Whatever it is, take that step. Stop running, even if just for a moment. Feel what it's like to be still, to be present, to be here. And then take another step, and another. Because this is how you reclaim your life. This is how you step out of the race and into your truth. One conscious choice at a time. One present moment at a time. One authentic step at a time. You know what's incredible? Right now, in this very moment, you have the power to decide that you will never again allow anger to control your life. Not tomorrow. Not after you read another book. Not after you attend another seminar. Right now. And I want to talk to you about something that changed my life completely, and I know it will change yours too if you really hear what I'm saying to you today. Anger is a choice. Let me say that again, because this might be the most important thing you hear today. Anger is a choice. You choose it. Every single time you get angry at someone, you are making a choice. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, but you don't understand. You don't know what they did to me. You don't know how they treated me. You don't know what they said. And you're right. I don't know. But what I do know is this. No one can make you angry without your permission. No one. Think about that for a moment. When someone cuts you off in traffic, when someone says something unkind to you, when someone doesn't meet your expectations, what's really happening? They're just being themselves. They're doing what they do. They're living their life according to their level of consciousness, their conditioning, their understanding of the world, and you're getting angry because you've decided that they should be different. You've decided that they should behave according to your rules, your expectations, your way of seeing things. But here's the truth that will set you free. You cannot control other people. You cannot control what they say. You cannot control what they do. You cannot control how they think. The only thing you can control is your response to what they say and do. That's it. That's all you've got. And when you really understand this, when you really get this at a cellular level, your entire life transforms. You see, when you get angry at someone, you're saying to yourself and to the universe, this person has power over me. This person can determine my emotional state. This person can take away my peace. And that's simply not true unless you give them that power. You are giving away your power every time you allow someone else's behavior to determine how you feel. Let me tell you something about anger that most people don't understand. Anger is always about you. It's never about the other person. Never. When you feel angry, you are experiencing a disturbance within yourself. You are experiencing a gap between what you think should be happening and what is actually happening. And that gap, that's where the anger lives. In that space between your expectations and reality. So what do? How do you stop being angry? How do you reach that place where nothing and no one can disturb your inner peace? It starts with understanding that you are not your thoughts. You are not your emotions. You are the observer of your thoughts and emotions. You are the one who watches the thoughts come and go. You are the one who notices the emotions rise and fall. And when you identify with that observer, with that witness consciousness, suddenly you have space, you have room, you have the ability to choose. When someone does something that in the past would have made you angry, you can now pause. You can observe the anger trying to arise. You can watch it like you're watching a movie. And then you can ask yourself, is this serving me? Is this anger helping me in any way? Is it making me healthier? Is it making me happier? Is it solving the problem? And the answer is always no. Anger never solves anything. It only creates more problems. It damages your relationships. It damages your health. It damages your peace of mind. Now, I want you to understand something crucial. When I say anger is a choice, I'm not saying you should suppress your feelings. I'm not saying you should pretend everything is fine when it's not. I'm not saying you should be a doormat and let people walk all over you. That's not what I'm talking about at all. What I'm talking about is responding to life from a place of centeredness rather than reacting from a place of disturbance. There's a huge difference between responding and reacting. When you react, you're not thinking. You're just being triggered. Something happens and boom, you're angry. It's automatic. It's unconscious. It's like a button that gets pushed and you have no control. But when you respond, you're conscious. You're aware. You're choosing. You're saying, okay, this situation is happening. How do I want to handle this? What response will serve the highest good here? And here's something beautiful that happens when you stop being angry at people. You start to see them differently. You start to see that everyone is doing the best they can with the consciousness they have. That person who cut you off in traffic, they might be rushing to the hospital, they might have just received terrible news, or maybe they're just having a bad day, or maybe they're just not very conscious yet. But whatever it is, it's not personal, it's not about you. This is so important. Nothing other people do is because of you. It's because of them. When someone is rude to you, it's because they're in pain. When someone betrays you, it's because they're disconnected from their higher self. When someone criticizes you, it's because they're critical of themselves. People who are at peace don't hurt other people. People who are happy don't try to make others unhappy. So when someone does something hurtful, instead of getting angry, you can feel compassion. You can understand that they're suffering. Now, does this mean you have to keep toxic people in your life? Absolutely not. You can remove yourself from unhealthy situations without anger. You can set boundaries without hostility. You can say no without resentment. You can walk away from people who are not good for you while still wishing them well. That's the key. You can make powerful decisions about who you allow in your life without carrying anger in your heart. Let me share something with you about the physiology of anger. When you get angry, your body goes into stress mode. Your heart rate increases. Your blood pressure rises. Stress hormones flood your system. Your immune system is suppressed. And all of this happens not because of what the other person did, but because of your reaction to what they did. You are literally poisoning yourself with your own anger. And the person you're angry at, they're probably not even thinking about you. They've moved on. They're living their life. And you're sitting there stewing in your anger, hurting yourself. So who's really being hurt by your anger? You are. Always. Every single time. Anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. It doesn't work that way. You're the one who suffers. You're the one who can't sleep at night. You're the one replaying the situation over and over in your mind. You're the one whose health is being compromised. And for what? Because someone didn't behave the way you wanted them to? Here's another powerful realization. When you're angry at someone, you're tied to them. You're connected to them. You're giving them space in your mind, rent-free. They're living in your head, occupying your thoughts, stealing your peace. And the moment you let go of that anger, you cut that cord. You free yourself. You take back your power. You reclaim your peace. Forgiveness is the key, not for them, but for you. Forgiveness doesn't mean what they did was okay. It doesn't mean you have to trust them again. It doesn't mean you have to have them in your life. Forgiveness simply means you're no longer willing to carry the burden of anger and resentment. You're choosing your peace over your need to be right. You're choosing your freedom over your desire for revenge. And when you forgive, something miraculous happens. You feel lighter. You feel freer. It's like you've been carrying a heavy backpack full of rocks, and suddenly you just take it off and set it down. The relief is immediate, the peace is palpable, and you realize that you could have done this at any time. You didn't need the other person to apologize. You didn't need them to change. You didn't need anything from them at all. You just needed to make a different choice. Now, let's talk about expectations, because this is where so much anger comes from. You have an idea of how people should be, how they should treat you, how they should behave. And when they don't meet those expectations, you get angry. But who says your expectations are right? Who made you the arbiter of how everyone should behave? You have your rules, your standards, your beliefs about how things should be, and you're imposing them on everyone else. And then you're getting upset when people don't follow your rules. But here's the thing, everyone has their own rules. Everyone has their own way of seeing the world. Everyone has their own level of awareness. And they're all equally valid. Your way is not the only way. Your truth is not the only truth. When you can accept this, when you can allow people to be who they are without needing them to be who you want them to be, you become free. This doesn't mean you don't have standards. This doesn't mean you accept bad behavior. What it means is that you stop expecting people to be different than they are. You see them clearly. You accept the reality of who they are, and then you make conscious choices about how you want to interact with them based on that reality, not based on who you wish they were. There's tremendous freedom in accepting people as they are. It doesn't mean you like everything they do. It doesn't mean you agree with their choices. It simply means you acknowledge reality. You stop fighting what is. You stop resisting. And in that acceptance, you find peace. Let me tell you about the energy of anger. When you're angry, you're vibrating at a very low frequency. You're in a state of resistance. You're in a state of separation. And from that place, you cannot access your higher wisdom. You cannot see solutions. You cannot feel love. You cannot experience joy. Anger blocks all of that. It puts you in a prison of your own making. But when you let go of anger, when you choose peace, your energy shifts. You start vibrating at a higher frequency. You become aligned with your true nature, which is love. And from that place, everything changes. Your relationships improve, your health improves, your creativity flows, opportunities appear. Life becomes easier, not because circumstances have changed, but because you have changed. You see, the world you experience is a reflection of your inner state. When you're angry, you see an angry world. You see threats everywhere. You see people as adversaries. You're defensive. You're guarded. You're ready for battle. But when you're at peace, you see a peaceful world. You see beauty. You see kindness. You see opportunities for connection. You're open. You're trusting. You're relaxed. So which world do you want to live in? Because you get to choose. Every moment of every day, you get to choose. Are you going to react with anger, or are you going to respond with peace? Are you going to see this person as an enemy, or are you going to see them as a fellow human being who is struggling just like everyone else? Here's something I want you to try. The next time someone does something that would normally make you angry, take a breath, just breathe. And then ask yourself, what if this person is a teacher? What if this situation is here to help me grow? What if this is an opportunity to practice peace? Because that's what it is. Every challenging person, every difficult situation is an opportunity for you to strengthen your peace muscle. It's a chance for you to prove to yourself that you don't have to be controlled by external circumstances. And the more you practice this, the easier it becomes. It's like building any other skill. At first, it's hard. You'll slip up. You'll get angry. And that's okay. Don't judge yourself. Don't beat yourself up. Just notice it. Oh, I got angry. Interesting. What triggered that? And then choose again. Choose peace. Choose understanding. Choose love. One of the most powerful questions you can ask yourself when you feel anger arising is this: do I want to be right, or do I want to be happy? Because often, anger is about wanting to be right. Someone did something wrong, and you want them to know it. You want them to admit it. You want them to apologize. You want justice. But at what cost? At the cost of your peace? At the cost of your happiness? Is it worth it? Most of the time, being right is not worth sacrificing your happiness. Most of the time, your peace is more valuable than proving a point. Most of the time, letting it go is the strongest thing you can do. Not because you're weak, but because you're strong enough to choose what really matters. And what really matters? Your inner state, your peace, your joy, your ability to love. These are the things that matter. These are the things that make life worth living. Not being right, not winning arguments, not getting revenge, not holding grudges. Those things only make you miserable. Let's talk about judgment, because judgment and anger go hand in hand. When you judge someone as wrong, as bad, as stupid, as selfish, you create the conditions for anger. You set yourself up as superior, and you put them down as inferior. And from that place of judgment, anger is inevitable. But what if you stopped judging? What if you simply observed? What if you said, this person is behaving this way. This is what's happening. How do I want to respond? No judgment, no labels, just what is. When you do this, anger loses its grip on you. Because anger needs judgment to survive. It needs the story that someone is wrong and you are right. The truth is, everyone is doing the best they can with the consciousness they have in that moment. Even the person who hurt you, even the person who betrayed you, even the person who disappointed you, they were doing the best they could. Now, their best might not be good enough for you. Their best might have caused you pain, but it was still their best in that moment with their level of awareness. Understanding this doesn't mean you excuse harmful behavior. It doesn't mean you don't protect yourself. It doesn't mean you don't have consequences. What it means is that you don't carry anger. You don't make yourself sick with resentment. You handle what needs to be handled, and then you move on. You let it go. Letting go is not forgetting. Letting go is not pretending it didn't happen. Letting go is simply releasing your emotional attachment to it. It's saying, this happened. I acknowledge it. I learned from it, and now I'm choosing to move forward without carrying this weight. Here's a powerful practice. When someone does something that triggers you, instead of immediately reacting, say to yourself, this is not an emergency. I have time to choose my response. Because most of the time, our anger is based on the false belief that we must react immediately. But you don't. You can pause, you can breathe, you can think, and from that pause, from that space, you can choose a response that serves you. Another thing to understand about anger is that it often comes from pain. When someone hurts you, your first instinct might be to lash out in anger. But underneath that anger is hurt. There's pain, there's disappointment, there's sadness. And instead of feeling those vulnerable emotions, we cover them up with anger because anger feels more powerful. Anger feels like protection. But it's not, it's just a mask. What if, instead of getting angry, you allowed yourself to feel the hurt? What if you acknowledged the pain? What if you were honest about your disappointment? This is vulnerability, and it's much more powerful than anger. When you can say, what you did hurt me, instead of, I'm so angry at you, you're being authentic. You're being real. And from that place of authenticity, real communication can happen. Real healing can happen. But when you come from anger, defenses go up, walls go up, nothing gets resolved. The other person gets defensive and you get more angry and it just escalates. But when you come from a place of honest vulnerability, people can actually hear you. They can actually understand. And even if they don't, even if they're not capable of that, you've honored yourself. You've been true to yourself. And that's what matters most. Now, I want to address something important. Some people use anger as fuel. They think it motivates them. They think it gives them energy. They think it helps them stand up for themselves. And while anger can provide a temporary surge of energy, it's not sustainable. It's not healthy. And it always comes at a cost. You can be motivated by love instead of anger. You can stand up for yourself from a place of self-respect instead of rage. You can create change from a place of vision instead of vengeance. And when you do, your actions are more effective. Your energy is cleaner. Your impact is greater. Think about the great leaders throughout history, the ones who created lasting change, the ones who really transformed the world. They didn't do it through anger. They did it through love. They did it through vision. They did it through a commitment to something greater than themselves. Yes, they felt angry about injustice, but they didn't act from anger. They acted from love. They acted from a vision of a better world. You can do the same in your own life. You can want things to be better without being angry about how they are. You can work for change without carrying resentment. You can hold people accountable without hating them. These things are not only possible, they're more effective. Let me share something about the present moment. Anger almost always lives in the past or the future. You're angry about something that already happened, or you're angry about something you're afraid will happen. But in this present moment, right now, are you okay? Right now, in this exact second, is there a problem? Usually not. Usually, in the present moment, you're fine. You're breathing, you're alive, you're okay. So when you feel anger rising, come back to now, come back to this moment. Feel your breath, feel your body, look around you, be here now. And notice how, in this moment, there's nothing to be angry about. The anger is about something that's not happening right now. And if you can stay in the present moment, anger has no power over you. This is why meditation is so powerful. It trains you to be present. It trains you to observe your thoughts without being controlled by them. It creates space between stimulus and response. And in that space, you find freedom, you find choice, you find peace. But you don't have to sit on a cushion to be present. You can be present right now. You can be present while you're driving, while you're working, while you're talking to someone. You can bring your attention to this moment again and again. And each time you do, you're strengthening your ability to choose peace over anger. Here's another insight. Your anger often has nothing to do with the person you're directing it at. You might be angry at your spouse, but really you're angry at yourself. You might be angry at your boss, but really you're angry at your own choices. You might be angry at the world, but really you're angry about your own unfulfilled potential. This is called projection. You take what you don't want to face in yourself and you project it onto others. You make them the problem so you don't have to look at your own stuff. But this never works. It never brings relief. It never brings resolution. The only way to heal is to look inward, to take responsibility, to ask yourself, what is this anger really about? What is this showing me about myself? When you start asking these questions, when you start looking within, you stop blaming. You stop being a victim. You stop giving your power away. You realize that you are the creator of your experience, not because you control what happens to you, but because you control how you respond to what happens to you. And this is the ultimate freedom. This is the key to never being angry again. Understanding that you are not at the mercy of circumstances. You are not at the mercy of other people. You are not at the mercy of your past. You are a powerful creator, and you get to choose in every moment how you want to show up. So what if you chose to show up with love? What if you chose to show up with compassion? What if you chose to show up with understanding? What if, instead of asking, why is this happening to me, you asked, what can I learn from this? What if, instead of seeing enemies, you saw teachers? What if, instead of seeing problems, you saw opportunities? This is not naive positivity. This is not pretending bad things don't happen. This is not toxic optimism. This is a conscious choice to interpret your experiences in a way that empowers you rather than victimizes you. It's a choice to see life as happening for you, not to you. When someone treats you badly, life is giving you an opportunity to practice unconditional love. When someone disappoints you, life is giving you an opportunity to release expectations. When someone angers you, life is giving you an opportunity to choose peace. Every difficult person, every challenging situation is a gift. It's a chance to grow. It's a chance to evolve. It's a chance to become more of who you really are. And who are you really? You are not your anger. You are not your resentment. You are not your hurt. You are the infinite loving awareness that is witnessing all of this. You are the consciousness that is aware of the anger, aware of the hurt, aware of the thoughts, and that consciousness is always at peace. It's always whole. It's always complete. When you identify with that awareness instead of with your temporary emotions, everything shifts. You realize you can feel angry without being angry. You can observe the emotion without becoming the emotion. You can watch it rise, watch it peak, watch it fall, all while remaining centered in your true self. This is mastery. This is freedom. This is what it means to never be angry at anyone again. Not because nothing ever bothers you, but because you're no longer controlled by what bothers you. You're no longer imprisoned by your reactions. You're free. And from that freedom, you can love. You can really love. Not the conditional love that says, I'll love you if you behave the way I want, but the unconditional love that says, I love you even when you don't. Not because you're perfect, but because love is your nature. Not because people deserve it, but because you deserve to be a loving person. This kind of love transforms everything. It transforms your relationships. It transforms your health. It transforms your entire experience of life, because when you're loving, you're happy. When you're angry, you're miserable. It's that simple. So I'm inviting you today to make a decision. Decide that you're done with anger. Decide that you're done giving your power away. Decide that you're done poisoning yourself with resentment. Decide that from this moment forward, you're choosing peace, you're choosing love, you're choosing freedom. And when someone does something that in the past would have made you angry, remember this: they are not your enemy, they are your teacher. This is not a problem, this is an opportunity. You are not a victim, you are a powerful creator, and you get to choose. Choose peace, choose understanding, choose compassion, choose love. Not because it's easy, but because it's worth it. Not because you're weak, but because you're strong. Not because you're naive, but because you're wise. This is the path. This is the way. This is how you never be angry at anyone again, not by suppressing your emotions, but by transforming them. Not by pretending everything is fine, but by actually being fine regardless of circumstances. Not by controlling others, but by mastering yourself. You have this power. You've always had this power. You just forgot. But now you remember, now you know, and now you can choose. Every moment of every day, you can choose. And when you choose peace often enough, it becomes your default. It becomes who you are. It becomes your natural state. And from that place of peace, you can do anything. You can create anything. You can be anything. Because you're no longer wasting your energy on anger. You're no longer carrying the burden of resentment. You're free. You're light. You're alive. This is your birthright. This is your true nature. This is who you really are beneath all the conditioning, beneath all the hurt, beneath all the stories. You are peace. You are love. You are joy. And nothing anyone does can take that away from you unless you let them. So don't let them. Reclaim your power. Reclaim your peace. Reclaim your life. Starting right now. Starting with the very next person who does something that would normally make you angry. See them with new eyes. See them with compassion. See them as a fellow human being on their own journey. And choose to respond with love. This is how you change the world. Not by trying to change everyone else, but by changing yourself. Not by making everyone behave the way you want them to, but by being at peace regardless of how they behave. Not by controlling circumstances, but by controlling your response to circumstances. You are more powerful than you know. You are more free than you realize. You are more capable of love than you can possibly understand. And it all starts with this decision: to never again allow anger to steal your peace. To never again give your power away to someone else's behavior. To never again be a prisoner of your own reactivity. You are free. You've always been free. You just had to remember, and now you have. So go forth. Live from this place of freedom. Love from this place of peace. Be the person you were always meant to be. The person who is no longer controlled by anger. The person who responds to everything with love. The person who is truly free. This is possible for you. Not someday, not eventually, right now, in this moment. Make the choice, make the commitment, and watch your entire life transform. Because when you're no longer angry, you're available for joy. When you're no longer resentful, you're available for love. When you're no longer bitter, you're available for peace. And that's what life is really about. Not being right, not winning, not getting revenge, but being at peace, being in love, being in joy. That's success. That's happiness. That's freedom. Choose it. Claim it. Live it. Starting now. There's something else I want you to consider. Every time you hold on to anger, you're actually creating a story. You're creating a narrative about what happened, about who was wrong, about who was right, about how you were victimized. And you tell yourself this story over and over again. You rehearse it, you perfect it, you add details. And the more you tell the story, the more real it becomes, the more justified your anger feels. But what if you change the story? What if you told a different story about the same event? Because the event itself is neutral. It's just something that happened. The meaning you give it, that's what creates your emotional response. So if you can change the meaning, you can change the emotion. Let's say someone betrayed your trust. You can tell yourself the story that they're a terrible person, that you were foolish to trust them, that you'll never trust anyone again. And that story will make you angry and bitter. Or you can tell yourself a different story. You can say that this person taught you something valuable about boundaries, that this experience helped you become more discerning, that this was a necessary part of your growth. Same event, different story, different emotion. This is the power you have. The power to choose the story you tell yourself about your experiences. And when you exercise this power consciously, you become unstoppable, because nothing can knock you down. Nothing can keep you stuck. Everything becomes useful. Everything becomes a teaching. Think about the energy you spend maintaining your anger. Think about all the mental conversations you have with people who aren't even there, all the arguments you win in your head, all the things you wish you had said, all the ways you replay the situation, trying to make sense of it, trying to justify your position. This is exhausting. This drains your life force. This keeps you stuck in the past. What if you took all that energy and redirected it? What if you used it to create something beautiful? What if you used it to love someone? What if you used it to pursue your dreams? Think about how much energy would be available to you if you weren't spending it on anger and resentment. Think about what you could accomplish. Think about who you could become. Your life is happening right now, not in the past, not in the future, right now. And every moment you spend angry about something that already happened is a moment you're not fully alive. It's a moment you're missing. It's a moment you can never get back. Is that how you want to spend your precious life? Rehashing old grievances, nursing old wounds, staying mad at people who have moved on? You deserve better than that. You deserve to be fully present for your life. You deserve to experience joy. You deserve to feel peace. And the only thing standing between you and that peace is your decision to hold on to anger. That's it. It's just a decision. And you can make a different decision right now. Let me tell you about the ripple effect of your anger. When you're angry, it doesn't just affect you. It affects everyone around you. Your spouse feels it. Your children feel it. Your coworkers feel it. Even strangers feel it. Because energy is contagious. Your state affects other people's states. When you're angry, you spread that anger. You contaminate the space around you. But the beautiful thing is, peace is also contagious. When you're at peace, you spread that peace. When you're loving, you spread that love. When you're joyful, you spread that joy. So by choosing peace for yourself, you're not just helping yourself, you're helping everyone you come into contact with. You're making the world a little bit better. You're being the change. And isn't that what we all really want? To make a positive difference? To leave things better than we found them? You can't do that from a place of anger. You can only do that from a place of love. So every time you choose peace over anger, you're not just choosing for yourself, you're choosing for everyone. Here's something profound. The people who trigger your anger the most are often your greatest spiritual teachers. They're showing you where you're not free. They're showing you where you still have attachments. They're showing you where you still need to grow. Instead of cursing them, thank them. They're doing you a service. They're holding up a mirror and showing you parts of yourself that need healing. When you can get to the place where you actually feel grateful for the difficult people in your life, you know you've made it. You know you're free, because you understand that they're not your problem, they're your opportunity. They're not your curse, they're your blessing in disguise. Now, some of you might be thinking, but what about righteous anger? What about getting angry about injustice? Shouldn't I be angry about wrong things happening in the world? And I understand that question, but here's what I know. You can care about injustice without being angry. You can work to change things without carrying rage. You can stand up for what's right without being consumed by what's wrong. In fact, you're more effective when you come from a place of love rather than anger, because anger clouds your judgment. It makes you reactive. It makes you do things you later regret. But when you come from a place of centered peace, you're clear, you're strategic, you're effective. You create lasting change, not just temporary relief for your own emotions. The world needs people who care, who are compassionate, who want to make things better. But it doesn't need more anger. There's already plenty of that. What the world needs is people who can remain at peace while working for change. People who can love even those they disagree with. People who can see the humanity in everyone, even those who are causing harm. This doesn't mean you're passive. This doesn't mean you don't take action. This means you take action from a place of wisdom rather than reactivity. You respond to the world's problems with solutions, not just more problems. You add light instead of more darkness. Let's talk about forgiveness one more time because it's so central to this. When you forgive someone, you're not saying what they did was okay. You're saying you're okay. You're saying you're no longer going to let what they did determine your emotional state. You're taking back your power. You're setting yourself free. And sometimes the person you need to forgive most is yourself. You need to forgive yourself for all the times you reacted in anger, for all the times you said things you didn't mean, for all the times you hurt people because you were hurt, for all the times you weren't your best self. Forgive yourself. You were doing the best you could with the awareness you had, and now you have more awareness. Now you can do better. Self-forgiveness is liberation. It allows you to move forward without the weight of guilt and shame. It allows you to learn from your mistakes without being defined by them. It allows you to be human without being harsh with yourself. And when you can forgive yourself, it becomes so much easier to forgive others. Here's a practice that can change everything. Before you go to sleep each night, think about your day. Think about any moments where you felt angry or upset. And then in your mind, replay those moments differently. See yourself responding with peace instead of anger. See yourself choosing love instead of resentment. See yourself being the person you want to be. This does two things. First, it rewires your brain. It creates new neural pathways. It teaches your mind that there are other ways to respond. Second, it releases the charge from those events. It completes them. It allows you to go to sleep in peace instead of carrying the stress into your dreams. And then, when similar situations arise in the future, you'll find yourself automatically responding differently because you've already practiced it. You've already seen yourself doing it. You've already experienced what it feels like to choose peace. And what you practice in your mind becomes easier to do in reality. Your mind is incredibly powerful. It doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's vividly imagined. So use that to your advantage. Practice being peaceful. Practice being loving. Practice being free from anger. And watch as your actual life starts to reflect your practice. There's also something important about the language you use, both with yourself and with others. When someone does something you don't like, instead of saying, "You made me angry," try saying, "I feel angry." Do you see the difference? One makes them responsible for your emotion. The other acknowledges that you're responsible for your emotion. This small shift in language creates a huge shift in consciousness, or even better, go deeper. Instead of "I feel angry," ask yourself, what am I really feeling? What's underneath this anger? Because anger is usually a secondary emotion. Underneath it, there's often hurt, fear, disappointment, or sadness. When you can identify and express the real emotion, you connect with people on a much more authentic level. And when you take responsibility for your emotions through your language, something interesting happens. Other people stop being so defensive. They can actually hear you. They can actually respond to what you're really saying, and real communication becomes possible. Remember, every interaction you have is an opportunity to practice. Every person you meet is a chance to choose love over fear. Every challenge is an invitation to respond from your highest self. You don't have to wait for the perfect conditions. You don't have to wait until everyone treats you right. You can start right now with the very next person you interact with. And yes, you'll slip up sometimes. You'll get triggered. You'll react instead of respond. That's okay. That's part of being human. The key is not to beat yourself up about it. Just notice it, learn from it, and choose again. Every moment is a new opportunity to choose. Every breath is a chance to start fresh. This journey from anger to peace is not about perfection. It's about progress. It's about becoming more conscious. It's about growing. It's about evolving into the highest version of yourself. And that happens one choice at a time, one moment at a time, one breath at a time. You have everything you need within you right now. You don't need to read another book. You don't need to attend another workshop. You don't need anyone's permission. You just need to decide. Decide that you're done with anger. Decide that you're choosing peace. Decide that you're taking back your power. And then live from that decision. The life you want, the peace you seek, the joy you desire, it's all available to you right now. Not when circumstances change, not when people treat you better, not when you finally get what you want, right now. Because peace is not dependent on external conditions. Peace is an inner state that you choose regardless of external conditions. This is the secret. This is what changes everything. Understanding that happiness doesn't come from getting what you want. It comes from wanting what you have. It comes from being at peace with what is. It comes from accepting reality as it is while working to make it better. It comes from loving people as they are while encouraging them to grow. You are standing at a doorway. On one side is the old way of being, where you give your power away to anyone who triggers you, where you stay stuck in anger and resentment, where you blame others for your emotional state. On the other side is freedom, peace, joy, love, power. All you have to do is walk through the doorway. All you have to do is choose. What will you choose?